Hello, and welcome to the series KAAI Women Around the World, a show where we interview our KAAI community to see how they organize their lives. Our KAAI microphone traveled all over the world to get all the ins and outs about their daily routines. Are you traveling with us? Hi everyone, and welcome to this 6th episode already of the series KAAI Women Around the World. So today we've sent the mic to Antwerp. It's a bit closer than the other times that we've sent our mic, but we are very pleased to have Anne here today.
Yes, and Anne Ludmann is an international guest because she used to live in Paris, worked in New York, and then moved to Antwerp. She has her whole career in the hotel business, and she has worked as a general manager for different hotels and in different countries. As I said, from New York to Paris to Antwerp. We are so thrilled to have her today as our 6th guest, and we can't wait to figure out what she has to tell us about her daily routines.
Welcome, Anne.
Hey, welcome everybody. Nice to see you.
We are super happy that you could make some time for us for this episode today.
Likewise. So excited.
So before we start things off, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, Anne?
Well, I am a typical French girl who moved to Antwerp for the best of the reasons, love. So would somebody have told me that I would live in Antwerp about 5 years ago, I would say, yeah, over my dead body. But, well, look at me 6 years later, speaking Dutch, living in Antwerp, enjoying it, still missing Paris sometimes, I have to say.
Welcome to Antwerp.
Yeah, welcome to Antwerp, but I also can imagine because Paris is such a beautiful city as well.
It is, but I get the balance by traveling pretty regularly to Paris when I need a bit of hustle and more buzz. And then when I want it more quiet, I stay in Antwerp. So it's a perfect balance.
Nice. So, and as you know, the series that we're doing with KAAI is about the daily routines and the ins and the outs of those routines for women all around the world. So we're very eager to know, what does a typical day in the life of Anne looks like?
Well, you said it. I work in hotels. Hotel business is just the definition of no routine. I mean, I can plan as much as I want my day in advance. And when I arrive, I have to go by priority. So the only thing that I can prepare in advance is my clothes the evening before I get ready and my bag before I go to work. So those are the two things that I have control over. The rest is just go with the flow whenever I come to the hotel and then I see, okay, this goes first. This has to be there. This guest needs attention or this needs to be fixed. So it's just... there is no routine. I mean, at work, there is none.
And not having the routine, is it something that you experience throughout your whole career, as in New York, Paris, Antwerp? Is it everywhere the same?
It is. It is. It's a job that's full of surprises, good ones, less good ones, but never routine, and you never have time to get bored, actually. So that's something that you know from the beginning. Otherwise, you would not take this job. It's passion. It's not only a job.
That's amazing. So if there is no routine whatsoever during your work days, do you try to incorporate some routine, I don't know, before work or after work or during the weekends?
I do. I have to think of me also. So I try to have a little bit of me time. I don't have kids, so my life is pretty much dedicated to work. My husband is also very busy because he has a 2-star restaurant. He's in food consulting. So we are both very busy, and we work 7 days in a week. So, but here and then when it's needed, we get some time for us. And then we just decide to say, okay, now I have to go for an hour because I need it, and that's it. So it's just spontaneous. It's not really planned in advance, because the more you plan, the more you have to change your plans. So,
and despite that you're not, despite that you're not planning it, is it something that you have to take some more time for it, like to really make it happen? The me time or the time with your husband or other family or friends?
We have me time with we have time with my husband, because we meet an evening for a dinner, and it's a mix of business and pleasure. So this is how we also find balance. And the me time is only me, and this is why I have a slot on Monday. End of the day, this is my me time. I go spinning for an hour, and no matter what, at 5 I'm leaving the work. That's the only day in the week where I leave this early. Otherwise, But all the rest is upon whatever's possible or whatever can happen.
And at what time do you tend to start your work day?
Well, it starts at home most of the time with the first phone check in the morning, like everybody else, I guess. And I'm usually at work between 8:30-ish.
Okay. And then you say, except for Monday, you don't leave before 5? What kind of hours do you work?
12 a day, 10, 12.
Oof.
Depending.
Okay.
It's 7 on 7 these days. It also is fun and it's necessary right now. The hotel is just opened a few months ago, so there's so much going on and so many people visiting, and every department needs attention. We also just opened our gastronomic restaurant last week, so I also have to have client dinners. So I'm here long hours, but it's not necessarily work. It's a mix of everything. And I mean, I'm not spending 12 hours behind my computer. I'm also on the floor talking to guests. So it's a whole journey.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about it, maybe, because it's Sapphire House. It's in Antwerp. Tell us a little bit about the concept.
It's a beautiful hotel, very specific, built in an old building that has been completely converted into a hotel. It was a family-owned private mansion, beautifully restored with historic ceilings. Here we are in one of the nicer junior suites, beautiful lights, and we are the first Marriott franchise hotel with a plant-based food concept. So all our restaurants are completely plant-based.
Oh, wow.
And we are also supervised by a star chef consultant, which also happens to be my husband, because I brought him on the project. But we have very good feedbacks, and we believe, without being plant-based ourselves, we believe that we still can do a little bit something for the planet, and try to stay as local as possible and promote nice products, top products, but based on vegetable food.
Okay. Wow. And then maybe back to the whole routine thing. Do you sometimes miss it to have a routine in your day? Especially maybe when you compare it to people around you or people with children. Do you think like, oh, sometimes I do want to have a routine? Or
yes and no. I think I'm a person who needs structure, but routine. I have my routine when I make up. It has to be fast and has to be efficient. So this is a mini routine. Yeah, I think I'm a person who needs to. Everything needs to go fast. I have short hair, easy to style in the morning. You dry, a bit of hairspray, done for the day. No need to touch it. Makeup is the same. So it has to be efficient and quickly in place. So that's my routine, so to say.
Okay, and you now live in Antwerp, but you come from France. In terms of daily routines, because obviously, even though if you don't have them very much yourself, you see it without any doubt with your guests and maybe on place. Do you see there a difference between people from Antwerp and then people from Paris?
I see there is a link towards productivity, maybe, but not so true. It's different. In France, we tend to start maybe a little bit later, have a little bit longer lunch break, but in the end of the day, we also stay longer. It's just spread over more hours. I would say in Antwerp or in Belgium, because I compare, people are more compact in working hours, take shorter breaks, but then they leave early. That's the thing. And then you want to call someone at 5:30. If I call one of my hotel colleagues, most of the time they're gone already. So in Paris, you can call until 8 o'clock and people are still in the office and let's have a drink together. Oh yeah, I'm not finished yet. So let's meet at 8:30. I mean, in Antwerp, 8:30, everybody has already had dinner and is already home. It's a long time. So that's a bit the difference. But also, it's also easier in Paris, if I may compare, because if you stop work until 7 p.m., you still can do a little bit of shopping between 7 and 8 or 7 and 9, because the shops are also open a little bit longer. They open later, but they're also open longer. In Antwerp or in Belgium, if I need to do something, buy something before my day is ended, it's almost impossible. I have to go during lunchtime because in the evening it's already closed when I go out. So it's just a different organization, shall I say.
That's true.
I became much more an online shopper since I'm in Belgium. It's 24/7.
That's true.
That's true.
But you have to wait a little bit longer for getting your stuff.
You can buy express deliveries. It prolongs a little bit the pleasure and the wait.
That's true. And then you're eager for your package to arrive, and then it comes, or you forget about it, and it's a nice like reward at the end of the day. Oh yeah, it's true. I ordered something.
I think it's more rewarding, and you can send it back. So I think it's different. Some things you want to touch, of course, a bag. You wanna feel and touch some shoes, but some other things you just see if it fits, and if it doesn't, I send it back, and that's it.
It's also easy. True.
Also.
Now, we talked earlier a bit more about your balance in your life between your me time, your family, your work. You were talking about how you work 7 hours a day and then you combine all those things together. But is there any tool or advice that you use to organize your life, especially maybe for you when it comes to your work life?
I do tend to be prepared in my administration, but I'm more a paper person. So I have papers laying around, but then my day is quite structured. What I need to start the day perfectly and not to be stressed is to have prepared my clothes in advance during the week. Weekend, whatever falls the closet, but in the week, if I have to, which skirt with which shirt and which shoes and this is just too much stress for me because the rest of the day is already full of unexpected. So the only thing that I know is that my clothes are ready. I check the weather. It's according to the weather, and I know I'm going to be comfortable based on what I have to do for the day. That's my little
Cool.
So
OCD. That's it. I mean, I've been doing this forever.
But it's actually, it's interesting because like you said earlier, you have short hair, doesn't need a lot of work, you prepare your clothes in advance. And then they talk about a lot of people who run really big businesses wearing the same clothes every day. So they don't have to make an extra choice because they're already making so many choices throughout the day. And I think it's something that you do really well, no?
I'm not Raf Simons. Yeah, I know Raf Simons does the uniform. Me, we like to vary. We're women. I mean, sometimes a color, going with a bag, different shoes, and I feel I want to wear this. It's also fun to have this variety, I think.
It's true. And do you do that on Sunday or do you do that daily?
Daily.
Daily, okay.
Daily, and sometimes I'm thinking over it, not only 5 minutes before I go to bed, but like during the evening, I'm like, I like to wear this tomorrow, but what would go with it? And then I check on the internet, maybe, what would go with this leather skirt, of the specific color. And it's a little bit of fantasy, a little bit of creativity.
I'm going to try that out tonight.
You have to do with what you have in your closet, but the dress is the one thing that's no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
Easy one.
Yeah. I also totally understand because sometimes I do it and I'm always like, oh no, I'm gonna do it every day, but I don't. But I really feel a lot more relaxed when you get up and your clothes are already ready.
It's true because otherwise you start doubting, and it can take quite a lot of time in the morning.
And also, my husband's still sleeping, so if I'm the one getting up early, I turn the lights on. So it's also a comfort for him. I mean, to not be a little bit too loud. So I'd rather have this all in place, and then no surprise.
Okay, I'm gonna try to do that as well.
Well,
and sorry,
I don't know. Yeah, maybe usually when I get up, it's very much timed. I get up, have a coffee, take a shower, get dressed, go to work. 30 minutes tops.
Okay.
35.
Yeah.
Very efficient.
No, but I don't have a deadline or a special time I need to be at work, but it's my own thing. Yeah, it's like the routine.
I totally understand.
Yeah.
And also it gives you really the feeling of having everything together when you wake up and like everything is ready. You're like, okay, let's go, puff, puff, puff. Otherwise you're like thinking and doubting. And
I completely understand it. Not everybody is like that. My mother-in-law takes her 2 hours to get ready in the morning because the hair, because the makeup, because it just takes a lot of time. And this is just completely based on people. Some people need a little time and some people need a long time to get awake.
Yeah, that's true.
True.
We understand.
We've already established that you work a lot and that it's also not very structured your days because life happens, and in hotel life you tend to take care of the thing that is the priority of that day. How do you juggle your social life? We talked already a little bit about me time, but also your social life, friends, family, with such a busy career.
Social life is also intimately connected to work, because when we work instead, it's a nice business to work in hotels because people like to come to hotels or to restaurants to have fun. So you are already in the middle of the fun. So of course, if they come to my place, it's also work and a bit enjoyment. But we also love to go to other places and discover and have drinks with friends that are in the hospitality sector. I must say that most of our friends work in the same business style, or in restaurant, or in hospitality, because we all work the same hours pretty much. So we understand each other also. And when you have sometimes because of a last minute emergency, you have to cancel an appointment, those people understand because they're going through the same. If you have appointments with somebody who works a 9-to-5 job, my mom, she was a teacher, for instance. She doesn't understand when I say, Mom, I'm at work at 8 o'clock in the evening. It just doesn't make sense to her. She doesn't understand how that's possible. What am I doing at work at 8 o'clock? Yeah, I'm having dinner with clients. Yeah, but that's not work. Yes, it is. I mean, it's just so understanding is always easier when people are in the same environment.
Yeah.
And it's a very close community as well. Everyone who works in restaurants and hotels and stuff, right?
It's close, but it's so international. I mean, everywhere we go, we meet other people, especially because I work in hotels, Mark work in restaurant. So we are very complementary. So I know a lot of people, you know, a lot of people. Chances are big that we know people in common as well. So it is, it's very interesting. And yeah, we're lucky we have a social life because our work is social. Because we are in contact with guests, we are in contact with people all the time.
Okay. And do you think, because your husband is in the same sector as well, I always wonder if it would be possible to be married for a long time or been together for a long time if you don't work, because hours are so intense. The weekends, when everyone is having fun, the people who work in hospitality are the ones who need to work at that moment often. Do you think it's doable to have relationships with people who are not in the same sector?
I would say it's not really easy to manage. At some point, one has to step back because you cannot have, or you're the two very hardworking and barely at home. But then when you have kids, that really changes, and this is where usually people do the switch. So I don't have kids with my husband. He has 2 daughters that are already grown up and they don't live with us anymore. They have their own life. But would we have had small kids? We would, of course, have to do it differently. We are also lucky. We have a housekeeping at home. We have everything is taken care of. So when we come home late, this is the housekeeping task is not something that I have to deal with, and this is really a luxury to not have to do that in addition. Otherwise, the little time I would have for me, which is for me too precious to spend on cleaning and washing, I'd rather outsource or give it to someone else and need the help.
Okay. We're going back to the nationality part. We already talked a little bit about how you compare France and Paris to Antwerp as well. Like the cliche also for France is that I think not only for Paris but France in general is that the Burgundy way of life is very present. people have croissants and having big lunches and spending a lot of time on that part. You already said it's kind of true, but do you really notice a big difference in terms of what you see in Belgium?
I think Antwerp may be not Belgian, not the reflection of Belgium in general, so to say. So Antwerp is bon vivant. The people I know in Antwerp, and since I'm in Antwerp, I mean, we take some time to enjoy. Maybe not for lunch. To go outside for lunch is not something very common. And in Paris, we had 3 times lunch per week. I mean, minimum. Here is like once every 2-3 weeks on a Friday, the latest possible, because then after going to work is going to be complicated. But it's another kind of thinking. It's more common here to do an end of day drink, not too late, and then work is finished. Then in Paris, where you would do a lunch, then you would go back to work for a few hours, and you would go out again in the evening for a drink. So there is different ways of enjoying life, and I would not say that Belgians are not less enjoying living. It's a little bit different, but they also want to have the same fun.
Okay, and in terms of productivity, do you see difference there? Because even though they work in a different way and they schedule their hours and their days a little bit different, but do you see a difference in productivity?
I would say it's Antwerp and Paris are also a little bit different. Paris is a capital city. Antwerp is a bit more a secondary city. I would more compare Paris with Brussels in terms of productivity. And if I compare Paris with Brussels, productivity is a little bit the same, but I think in Antwerp, it's better. I think people are more focused in a shorter period of time, and they are more target oriented. So it's positive in a way of has to be done within this much time, because overtime is not an option, or doing extra time for this is not an option, and we have specific deadlines. And then in France, it may be a little bit more variable, or like more flexible.
I totally agree. I used to work in Brussels in a company that has headquarters in France, so a very French company. And I think it's really true. Brussels compares much more to France, while Antwerp compares much more to the Netherlands.
Or Germany, or like more that kind of more disciplined way of working. It's Vlaanderen. It's
Okay. So we're already at the end of this amazing talk, but we have still one more question left. If there was any tip or trick that you could share with us for all those women running businesses and working hard, what would it be?
I think we are all facing so much unplanned, but preparation for me is, I think, the one little thing that you still can influence in a way of getting your life a little bit structured as much as possible. So preparation, I would say, and of course keep see the bright side of everything, because we're not saving lives. That's actually what I say all the time. When somebody is really stressed because of something that happened, is somebody died? Are we saving lives? No. So
that's a good one to always remind yourself.
You have to just, if you ask yourself the question, sometimes you're like, oh my God, I need to respond to this client. Is he going to die if I don't answer before tomorrow 8 a.m.? Because now it's 10 p.m. And is it really, I'm exaggerating, but it's just put things in perspective, and what is really urgent and what is critical. And everything could be considered as urgent and critical, but maybe we also still have a right to have a bit of personal time left.
Absolutely. We really, really want to thank you for this lovely conversation, Annie.
And we can't wait to come meet the beautiful hotel that you are building.
Please come to Antwerp. Yes, be happy to welcome you, of course.
We will. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.